Welcome to the QCC. We're only going to be on for a few minutes and then we're going to seg you into the baseball show. I have a announcement to make. I don't know if it's the bombshell. I think it is. I announced it on Matt Connerton Unleashed in the Afternoon. It would be called, I guess, How Do You Properly Handle a High School Rape? As you know, the West High School, and on September 30th, 2015, a 14-year-old girl was raped. It's my alma mater. And the story went national because it was covered up for nearly 2 years, during which Mayor Gatsas, for 52 days, contested a mayoral election in which you all remember crime was the #1 issue. And he contested a gubernatorial race, too, where Chris Sununu was hitting him on the way he handled crime. And he says, Gatsas says, Ted Gatsas is a liar. I just have to tell you, 1 week before the unfortunate incident at my alma mater, September 23rd, 2015, there was a rape, a school rape. It took place in the Rochester City School District.
A former Rochester coach and substitute teacher is facing serious charges. 28-year-old Michael Shimmick is accused of raping a student. Time Warner Cable News reporter Jamise Price joins us now from our newsroom with the district's reaction. Jamise?
28-year-old Michael Shimmick is accused of having an inappropriate relationship with a 15-year-old student while he was a substitute teacher and an assistant track coach at the School of the Arts. Police say Shimmick had sex with the teen multiple times over several months in his Rowley Street home. He is charged with third-degree rape and criminal sex act. A district representative said in a statement they have no evidence the inappropriate behavior happened on school property. Superintendent Bolgen Vargas addressed these allegations Thursday night before a scheduled board meeting.
We are extremely disappointed, obviously, and it's a terrible thing.
For the last 3 years, Shimmick worked at the district on a per diem basis, never full-time. We're told he's certified as a physical education teacher and was a substitute primarily in that role at elementary and secondary grade levels. According to a district spokesperson, he left the School of the Arts when a permanent physical education teacher was hired and his substitute duties ended. He was terminated this week once the district became aware of the investigation, stating they took immediate actions to make sure he would not be allowed to teach or have contact with students in city schools.
We take every action to make sure that our students are safe. And unfortunately, there's no 100% proof that situation like this are happening throughout our society. And it's a very sad situation. Again, I want to reinstate that this is an allegation, but we take it serious, and we have removed the individual from our district.
Parents received a note from the district alerting them of the investigation. In the letter, they were told to speak with police if they have any information about the case. No.
Well, did you know that was Dr. Bolgen Vargas? And I have no idea whether he mentioned when he was interviewed recently about the cover-up of the West High School rape, whether he mentioned that he had been similarly involved. He is NECN. There is footage where he says that the prior school administration didn't release the information to protect the privacy of the girl, of the victim. But the privacy of the victim of a juvenile is protected by law, so that's not a real issue. And if that news report is September 24th, a day after a letter went out from the Rochester City School District to the parents I'll just briefly go over it. September 23, 2015. I believe this is the day of the arrest. We're writing to let you know that a former substitute was accused of having a sexual relationship. Then they give him his name, they explain him. We have no evidence that inappropriate activity occurred on school property. However, if you or your child have relevant information relevant to the perpetrator whose name or this case, please call 911 and speak with the police. We regret having to share this news, which creates a painful situation for our community. We have been in touch with the victim's family and have offered the school's support. We ask the entire SOTA community, the School of the Arts, SOTA community, to respect the privacy of the victim and her family as we allow the justice system to run its course. Let us demonstrate the compassion and strong sense of community that makes School of the Arts special for our students, families, and staff. Sincerely, it's signed by the principal, and it's also signed by the school chief of secondary schools. Dr. Vargas' name isn't on it, but of course he was the head of the school district then. Went out the day of the arrest. I talked to Alderman Bill Berry. I asked him how it should have been. I didn't tell him about this. I asked him how it should have been handled. He said they should have got together, mayor, school officials, and some elected officials, the chief of police, the police. And one of the things he said, they should have drafted a letter and sent it out to the students in a day or two. And Bill had told me, he says, one of the reasons to send that letter out is to find out whether there were other victims. Now, that is in this letter. They ask if you or your child has any information relevant to the named perpetrator of this case, please call 911. Speak with the police. When Ted Gatsas, and let's have no doubt about it, people say there's no technical, legal term, cover-up. If you know something and don't reveal it, you've covered it up. If I have a fender bender and don't tell my girlfriend, it's her car, I'm covering up. The idea that Ted Gatsas didn't know that it was a rape, Chief Willard told him twice. And the assistant superintendent, Ryan, told him. Ted Gatsas is a liar. There's no... that's not some revelation. But the idea, which he's saying, that about the privacy is in part of the law. What Ted Gatsas did by covering this up, he deprived every student in the West High School, their parents, to ask their children, to talk to them about this and find out if something happened. But even more so, in the 52 days between this and the election, which crime was the #1 issue, he subverted democracy. He prevented those students, the parents of those students, and everyone in the city of Manchester for having a debate about this. He subverted that, and that it went on as long as it did. He ran for governor. Our landslide Ted Gatsas, Mayor 64, who but for the malfunctioning machines of Ward 1 would not have been mayor. He ran for governor. Everybody knows that's what his intent was, to run for governor. And winning by 64 votes out of 20,000, that didn't even deter him. Believe me, Sununu knew it, because Sununu was already hitting him on his handling of crime during the mayoral campaign when he was criticizing Manchester. That's the way you handle it. And it wasn't handled in this city. What more can I say to you? He covered up. And but for former alderman Kathy Sullivan, who has a editorial in the Union Leader, which has attacked me, of all people, plus the alderman and Joyce Craig, who knew nothing about the letter to the conduct board. She has an interesting op-ed that spells it out about Gatsas, what he knew. Remember with Nixon? Ted Gatsas reminds me not so much of a Donald Trump, but of Richard Nixon. What did he know and when did he know it? His explanations are absurd. But you know, that's a cover-up. But let me tell you something. I live in Ward 10. John Abert hasn't said a thing about this. Has your alderman addressed it? I know Bill Berry has. Has your school board member addressed it? Have you addressed it? Or are you covering up too? On to baseball.